This is Peter Venkman saying...
The Proton Pack is not a toilet.
Hey everybody, welcome back to The Proton Pack is Not a Toy. My name is Matt, and this is episode 9 of the Venkman conversion, where I'm taking my Proton Pack and changing up some of the details of it to make it look more like the Ghostbusters 2 version of the Venkman Hero Pack. Before I get into today's changes, I want to talk about what you guys saw there in the intro. The channel now has an official logo, and that is thanks to Brendan at Beducci Studios, who was so kind to whip up that artwork with the scolded Mini Puffed getting in trouble for messing with a Proton Pack. And I just love it. I love the art, the font kind of looking like Toy Story, and it just turned out great. And some of you guys have been asking for ways to support the channel through buying t-shirts or stickers or whatever, and I haven't really been able to deliver on that, but now I opened up a TeePublic account, and you guys can check that out. Follow the link in the description of this video, and if you guys want to buy a t-shirt or stickers or whatever else that is available through TeePublic, you can do that through that link. I'm not on here to sell t-shirts or anything else, but if you guys are wanting to buy them, I want to be able to supply that for you guys. And I also wanted to buy one of my own because I like the artwork so much. So again, thanks Brendan for your help with that and for giving permission for me to be able to share that with the community in terms of merchandise as well. Today, what we're going to do is a few things for the shell of the pack. I'm kind of done for the moment, at least, with the motherboard after a lot of videos focusing on it. I'm going to be doing hopefully 3 things today with the shell, and the first of which, that'll be the biggest part of this video, is going to be moving the injector tubes that come out of the power cell over here. If you look at it sideways where the motherboard would be right here, the way mine are oriented is more accurate than what you would see on the Semi-Hero packs. If you look here at the Stance Semi-Hero as it sits today, the power cell tubes, or the injector tubes, are all the way or close to it to the back of the power cell. And that's how I mounted mine when I first built my pack. But if you look at the Hero packs from the first and second movie, they are quite a bit farther up, about ½ an inch, at least for the Venkman, from the front of this rib right here. And so what I need to do is take off the tubes here, and then I'm also going to remove the hoses and all the stuff that's holding it together, and I'm going to have to flip them around, and then there's a couple other things I'm going to do in that process as well. But before I get into all that, the first thing I need to do is remove the tubes themselves. I'm going to set it on its side here so you guys can see the pretty side, and I can hold it this way so that they don't fall off when the bolts come out. I've got very short socket head cap screws or bolts, whatever you want to call them, in there, 1/4 inch ones, and I'm going to replace those because that's not enough. I like having a lot more threading on some of these things, and that makes me nervous to not have a whole lot going in there. I have extras of these because I needed one that would go from the Alice frame to the motherboard through the spacer, the top spacer, when I swapped out the length of that spacer on there, and now I have 3 of them I'm not using, so I'll use those in these threaded holes here. So that's loose there. Next thing I need to do is disconnect it on this end. I'll see if the hoses will pop out. If not, we'll just unscrew the barbs. These injector tubes I bought from GB Fans probably not quite 10 years ago, but it's been a long time. And it's cool that they are threaded on either end. On the end here where the colored hoses come out, they are threaded to fit into clippered barbs like there would be in the clippered elbows on the pack. So you can see that is not an accurate detail to the props themselves, but it is handy, and that is a good way to keep those tubes from sliding out of those holes. So that is a detail that is not accurate to the prop that I am going to keep on my tubes. So just a little information there before you guys correct me on it. That is something I realize is not screen accurate or prop accurate, but it's something that I'm going to let slide on my pack because it gets covered up by these little boots that were created by the split loom, the smaller version. So that slides up over it and you really can't see that they're there. Then I'm also going to pull out the tubing here. It'll come out through the shell itself. I do think I had it glued in there. One of the things I'm going to do is glue over that spot. If you look at the prop that I'm trying to recreate, the glue there is much like the glue you see on the resistor. It has that kind of yellowish color. So I'm going to try to blob a little bit there on the blue and the red on the injector tube hoses. All right, the red and the blue have been removed. So I'm going to show you here are the holes that I have drilled for the current placement of the injector tubes, and what I need to do is move those further up. The good thing about this, the way that the plate is on the bottom of these injector tubes that I have from GB Fans, I'm just going to flip them around, and when I flip them around, the long end of the plate here is going to cover up the hole over here. So even though I'm going to have 4 holes for only 2 bolts going through, I'm not going to have any open holes that you're going to be able to see on the exterior of the pack because it's going to be covered up by that mounting plate. So that's the good thing. As before, you guys have seen that I'm a big proponent of making templates, and I've already gone and done that just to save a little bit of time for this video. This is the template of the bottom plate. You can see right there I made it out of one of these, I don't know, one of the inserts that comes with the machine screws that I like to buy from Lowe's. And so there you can see where I have an idea of how it's going to fit. So what I'm going to do is get it placed exactly where I want it, tape it in there with some masking tape, use that to drill my holes, and then that should line up the holes on my shell with the holes that will be available on the injector tubes. The measurement I'm going for here is about 1/2 inch from the front of the bottom rib here to the edge of the tube itself, and then on the back side from the back of the shell to the tube is about 11/16 of an inch, give or take a little bit. That's kind of eyeballing it to an extent, but I did do what I've done in some of my previous videos where I overlaid a ruler with known measurements from my pack, kind of assumed the same measurements for the Hero Pack, and then made, educated guesses on where those measurements should fall and where I should drill the holes. So with that being the case right there, I'm going to get my drill and go ahead and drill some 1/4 inch holes in my template. Okay, I got the holes drilled. As you can see there, fiberglass everywhere, fun. So I'm going to take the tape off. We are going to test fit. The tubes. I'm going to start with these smaller bolts, and then I'll switch to the other ones. And I don't have it tightened all the way down, but as you can see, it did thread into both of the holes. And this is the reason I do the templates. It's so much easier than trying to just take measurements, mark the holes with a ruler or a tape measure and a pencil. Make the template with the part you're putting on there where you know where the holes are, and use that to save yourself a lot of trial and error. I've done the measurement and the pencil thing before, and it's led to some frustration. And when I switched over to just using templates for things, it just makes life easier on you. So, happy with the way those look. Now I'm going to take these long 2.5 inch bolts and slide them in the 2 new holes. I'm trying to do this with the electronics still in there, the power cell. It'd probably be smart to take all that out, but I'm trying to do that without taking that whole step. There, it might ended up widening that hole a little bit more than originally set up to be, but get these hand threaded, and then I will tighten them down with a screwdriver. All right, I got it all tightened down. I like to use these screwdrivers with the interchangeable bits so I can pull them out sometimes and reach in those tight spaces. But we are tightened up in there. Probably would be a bad idea to put some kind of plate or something inside there just to give some reinforcement on the inside of the power cell there on the bottom. Might end up doing that one day, but for now it's going to hold just as well as it did before. And as you can see, there's a hole right here that you guys can't see because it is blocked by the plate on the bottom over here. So that's the good part about making this change, is I was able to drill 2 new holes, move apart, and not even have to cover up the old holes. Very excited about that. That's how that worked out. The next part of this process, if you look at the Venkman Hero, it has a strip of glue that runs in between the tubes there on the power, I keep saying power cell, on the injector tubes. And so that is something I'm going to replicate here. The Hero Packs, I don't know if it was on the first movie, but on the second movie there were some. You can see evidence on the Superhero and on the Spengler of a bracket that fit about right here, and then on the inside of the injector tubes it was I believe, riveted on. And it is so covered up by the ribbon cable that you hardly see it in any of the reference photos unless you're looking for it. So, as far as I can tell, from one specific picture I was looking at for the Venkman, there may possibly be holes there that are left open, but there is no bracket currently on the pack. I don't know what the status of it was in Ghostbusters 2, so I'm going to use the current status of the shell as it sits now and not include that bracket here on my injector tubes. Maybe the glue here in between the tubes themselves helped kind of hold it in place, at least kept them from rattling. But I haven't really looked all of the packs to see if they have that glue there, but I know for sure that the Venkman does. So I'm going to put the glue there, and then I'll have the glue ready to add to my hoses going into the shell itself here at the bottom as well. Again, I'm using the same hot glue that I used before here on the resistor. And I'm just going to run a bead down the length of it. This stuff dries pretty quickly, so if it doesn't come out exactly as I want, I usually let it sit for about 10 or 20 seconds, and then I'll pull it right off. It might be a little hot on my fingers, but it usually comes off in a pretty easy manner, just in a long strip, or the bubble did around the resistor there. So I'm assuming I could do about the same here with the tubes. So I'm go full length to about where the welds are at the bottom. And there you can see the way that it looks. I'm replacing my red tube. A friend of the channel sent me some real clipper tubing in red and green. I've already used the green on the thrower, so I'm using the red here. And it is a little tight. And then the blue, the same one that just came off, so that one pops right back on without any problems. Like I said, I'm going to put a little bit of glue at the base of the entry point of these holes here on the bottom of the shell, just to replicate the look there on the Venkman Hero. All right, I got those in place, and gluing these in is just going to be for aesthetics because I've got plenty of tubing going through and it is tight. So there's really no need for me to put glue on it here other than just for the looks of it. So I'm not going to put a whole lot. Just to kind of get that blob at the base is what I'm looking for. Perhaps you can see a little bit of the glow there. And again, that's what it looks like dried in between the injector tubes. So that about does it for that aspect of today's episode. I'm going to change two other things and they're going to be quick. And that's the famous last words, right? The first one is reversing a change I've made in a previous video. Just to kind of give you a reason for doing this, the in filter, which is right here with the red ring around it on my thumb, you can see that it has kind of a mesh that I have going in there. I've just used some drywall material to kind of make the backing there. There is a mesh on the Hero Packs. On the Semi-Hero Packs, it was just a solid white. And on the Venkman and Ghostbusters 2, it was also solid white. And the belief is that when they molded and cast the Semi-Heroes out of the Venkman, that they needed to fill in all the holes and the gaps there so that nothing would leak through in the process of making those shells. So they put that full backing in there as opposed to the mesh. So I'm just pulling this out, and I'm going to put back in what I had before. And that was a pair of note cards. You guys know I like to use note cards at this point. Just plain white note cards. I tape a couple of them together just with masking tape, and then I'm going to form them into just a little circle shape and curl them in there together. And that will be my white backing. It doesn't have to be an actual filter or anything like that. This has to be something white that covers the back side of the holes. And I'll try to keep the line out of the view of the holes. So I'm just going to curl it over like that, just enough to get it into the space, and then start spreading it out. And I've forgotten that I had this material here inside my fake mesh. I might just shove that back in there to hold it in place. Does that work well? So as long as the seam is right there, I'm going to turn it. I was going to say as long as the seam isn't visible. Just turn it a little bit. There. Now there's no seam visible, and you just get that white look, and all I had to use was some extra foam and a couple of note cards. Nothing special. The last change I'm going to make is going to be to the lights in the Cyclotron. I have them set up to where they turn clockwise. The Venkman Hero in Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters 2, the lights went counterclockwise. So that is a change I'm going to make. And you can laugh if you want. I have Dixie cups here in the back holding my lights into place. So to make them counterclockwise, all I really need to do is just move two of them. So I'll take this one, swap it out with this one. I have to replace the tape holding them in. But that should be enough to change the orientation of the lights. All right. I've got my motherboard over here, so I can actually hook it up and see if it'll work. All right, I've got it plugged in. I don't necessarily have to mount it to the shelf for this to work. I just need to turn it on to test. I have my sound turned down at the moment, so you might not hear it at all. But there you can see The lights do go in order, and they do go counterclockwise now. So there's my 3 changes for this week, and I do appreciate you guys spending some more time with me here on the Proton Pack is Not a Toy. Again, I do have some more videos coming, so check out the ones you haven't seen before. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the ones that are coming. The last main piece that I have incoming is actually on the way now. It's been something that I've been waiting for to be created for a while, and it's actually on the way. I got the mailing notification the other day. So the end is in sight. It's starting to really take shape now, and I do appreciate you guys following along, sending me nice feedback, and watching all these videos. It's been fun. I hope you guys are enjoying it and learning a little bit as well. And I'll see you guys next week on episode 10. Y'all have a good day.